Aloha, Wicket team for this software solar decathlon. I'm wanting to try to help you with an example of a software system that's implemented using Wicket that illustrates some good techniques and that was developed in my lab. Um, I'm concerned that you guys don't have necessarily good working examples of code to look at to inspire you with how to do things in Wicket, but I think you're at the stage now where you could probably pretty easily pick up some stuff if you had such an example. So I'm hoping to kind of use this quick video to get you started looking at some code that uses the Wicket idioms and shows you some cool stuff. So as you can see from this page, it's the hackystat-ui-wicket project. And there's a running version of this system that's available at dasha.ics.hawaii.edu:9879/projectbrowser/. And as you can see, if you use the user joe.simpletelemetry@hackystat.org as the user, and then that exact same string as the password, you can sign into this system. So I'm going to sign in right now. And what you can see is that we get a pretty simple interface. It's got a menu of items at the top. It's got a form. And what I'll show you, the data for this particular user is from July 2007. Okay, so if you want to kind of play around with things, you can click there and you can see that there's a bunch of data that comes out. There's some links. Here's kind of a cool thing. You click on a link and a modal window pops up with data inside it. That might be a little technique you want to use. You can go to the projects page and you can see various buttons. If you want to, try not to actually change anything, please. But anyway, you can kind of look at stuff in here just to see what's going on. If you go to the daily project data page, again, you've got to select. Actually, let's select 2007, and like around July 1st, and we'll look at this project, and the analysis will be, I don't know, like, who knows, build. Let's try that. So we submit. Shoots, there was no data for that particular day. We can go to the telemetry page, and here we can do this project, and if we select again 2007, let's say July 1st through 2007 July 8th. Oops. June 8th. July 8th or July 7th. Okay. And then we click this display telemetry. You can see we get some data here, and if we click these buttons and we click Get Chart, you can see that there's a Google chart that's displayed. So you can see there's quite a lot of stuff here that is kind of similar to the kinds of stuff that you might want in your site. We've got a variety of pages. On each pages we've got forms to fill out, and then charts and stuff that appear when you do it. Okay? So you may not even need to log into this site and fiddle around with this, having seen this video. Okay? But you can, if you want to, just please don't don't edit anything in here. And you log out by doing this. Okay, so this, as I said before, this is at this project, and you can click into the source and look at the trunk, source, org, hackystat, project browser, and you see these packages and so forth. What I recommend you do is actually check this out. You can check it out read-only from Subversion. You can't commit to this project, but you can get a read-only copy of the stuff, and you put it into Eclipse, and you get something like this. Okay, and there's just a few things I kind of want to mention. One thing is that you can see it's helpful to go through this top-level org.hackystat.projectbrowser directory, because you can see that the top-level project browser application is where you can store essentially global application level state, okay, for your system. And there's a way to get this application instance from other places in the code. You can see there's this properties file that the project browser reads in upon startup, and that stuff is stored in the application and can be gotten from other areas. Now, one of the particular things that I've noticed about your project, the current Solar Decathlon front ends, and I'd like to see you guys improve on this, is the organization of the session state. And we in the project browser, we came upon a nice design idiom for this. The notion is that just as usual, you would extend the web session at the top level with some application-specific session object, and you put this stuff in there. But then what you also do is you provide for each page, okay, an instance of an object which stores session state for that particular page. Okay, and that's just a modularity component. So if we look at the sensor data page, which is right here, okay, what we can see is we have this class called sensor data session, which is the object that's going to store session state for this particular page. Okay, so if you have 5 pages in your navigation bar up across the top, you'd have 5 different classes associated with each page that are session objects that are stored in the global session state. But that that kind of modularizes things and enables people to work on individual pages and update their session state in a way that doesn't get in the way of anybody else's. And if you're trying to understand, if you're trying to understand what the overall session state is, it's nice to have it kind of organized in this way so that you can see where things come from. Which brings me to another modularization issue, which is that what you can see is that there is a package called org.hackystat.projectbrowser.page, and that has the base page in it, okay, which we've talked about before in the Wicket example. So this is kind of our top level page, has the header, the footer, all that kind of stuff. All right, and you can kind of look at that, and it's adding these various object labels for the title and the the image URL and the links to the various subpages. Okay, the title bar, the navigation bar, for example, is implemented here. And there's also authentication, but you shouldn't need to worry too much about that. But then what happens is each of the pages that exists in the application is a separate sub-package of this page package. Okay, so I noticed that in the Wicket applications you guys have been developing, you have just this one big package with this, all these different classes, all these different HTML files for every single page in the system. That doesn't scale too well, and I think it's already reached the point where you need to restructure your system and make it a little bit more understandable. And so this is an example. What you can see is we have a daily project data package here. And then there's actually all these sub-packages under daily project data for the different types of analyses that can be run on that particular page. Then we have a project portfolio page that corresponds to an element in the navigation bar with its sub packages. We have a projects package which contains all this stuff for the projects page. We have a sensor data package with all this stuff for the sensor data page. We have a telemetry page with the stuff for the telemetry that implements the telemetry page, and then there's all these a couple sub packages of that, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you have this natural kind of hierarchy where you have your base page and in one package and the stuff for that, the Java file, the HTML file, and then you have sub packages for each of the actual pages that appear in your navigation bar. And all the stuff is stored in there. And then you can see for each of these ones that I've looked at, you'll find there's a session class for each of these pages. So there's the one for that one, there's the one for that one, there's the one for that one. Okay, you get the drift, right? Okay, so what I would suggest you do is look through this code. Some of this code, you're not going to quite understand because you don't understand the application, but you're going to see these various idioms, and I think this will be very useful to you now that you're actually trying to get into more complicated Wicket development to see how it's done in this context. Fire away, have fun, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with.